Our speaker this morning is Ken Hodge. Ken grew up in Stanton, Virginia, earned a bachelor's degree in forestry and wildlife management from Virginia Tech, and an MBA from the UVA Darden School of Business. He worked in Liberia for 3.5 years, first for Firestone Tire and then Getty Oil. Ken returned to Virginia and settled in Newport News in the mid-1970s. Within the Newport News community, Ken has served as board chair for the Hampton Roads chapter of the MS Society, participated actively with Boy Scouts, coached youth baseball and soccer, served as president and treasurer of the Rotary Club of Newport News, developed the current Rotary Youth Exchange Program for District 7600, is a member of the Bridges to Prosperity Board of Directors, and is an elder at York Minster Presbyterian Church. Together with fellow Rotarian Ken France, Ken helped lead the Rotary Club of Newport News efforts to be awarded a $360,000 Rotary International 3H grant to embed Bridges to Prosperity technology in Zambia. In December of 2008, to support the requirement that his club raise $60,000 for the grant, Ken led a fundraising event where, together with his daughter Katie and son Ryan, they rode motorcycles on a 5-week, 8,500-mile trip from Lima, Peru back to Newport News. Ken and his wife Cindy live in Newport News. They have 4 children and 4 grandchildren. He's here today to talk about the Rotary Foundation. Ken Hodge.
I don't know where they got all that information.
Police department, kid.
Police department.
What time did you have to get up this morning, Ken, to get over here?
Pardon?
What time did you have to get up this morning?
5 o'clock.
Because we no longer live in Newport News, we now live on the west side of Williamsburg as of December. Completed the construction of a new home, and it's a pleasure to be here. Actually, I was scheduled to be here back in November, but a little heart attack got in the way and wasn't able to be with you. But I'm awfully glad to be here now. It was a minor event, but it was kind of a wake-up call. I want to take a brief minute to talk about Bill Rode, who is a good friend of mine, and the reminder that most of you may know, but probably know, but some of you may not know, it was Bill that brought the bowl-a-thon to this club many years ago. And he brought it from, he was a Rotarian up in Richmond, and then he went to Hampton, and then he came here, and everywhere he went, he kind of drug the bowl-a-thon along, but it has really taken root and done much better here than a lot of other places. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you about the foundation. If you don't mind, I'm going to get out here because I'm just more comfortable. I'll try to stay away up there high. I am the District Foundation Development Chair, which means I'm Chief Fundraiser, but it is through the efforts of individuals like yourselves that the activity of the foundation goes on. One of the things that we have focused on over the last 3 years, and my tenure comes to an end in, 5 months, 3 days, and 4 hours. But is in the past, everybody talked about, how you raise the money and trying to, it was almost a peer pressure kind of thing. And we've taken a completely different tack, and we focused on the why aspect of the foundation, because believing that if you understand why the foundation is there and what it does and what good it is, then you're going to turn around and say, okay, how do I get involved? What do I do? So that's what we're going to talk about. One of the things I want to talk about is why do Rotarians support foundations of any kind? Our Rotary Foundation is just a foundation, but I believe it's in our nature. Rotary is a service club, and you're not here simply because you are self-centered and you don't have an altruistic bone in your body. The question is, you're supporting foundations in a lot of different places, a lot of different ways. The real question is, why our foundation rather than another one? Well, there are, basically it's because, let's change please. We got a great organization here. Yeah, it is, we have a little over $1 billion in cash in the permanent fund and pledges. And these are the funds which give the stability and the growth to the organization. It's also one of the highest ranked club, and we would carry the highest ranking by Charity Navigator. Now, why is this important? Because when you are looking at deciding what foundation of anyone you're going to choose to support, you want to know where the money is going and how much of the money is being spent for fundraising, for instance. Yeah, I'm a volunteer. I'm not a paid individual. All the activity involved in raising funds for the foundation are primarily done by volunteers, and so there are very low fundraising expenses. We also have very low operational expenses, because when you're doing grant work, and you guys have been involved in a couple of local grants, and other clubs are involved in international grants. It's Rotarians out there on the ground doing the work. The leverage which we create because of our professional connections, we get more done with the dollars in our foundation than most any other foundation you're going to find around. And we have the trustworthiness of the four-way test and Rotary audits. There are Rotarians that they're called cadres, that when an international project has been funded, they go out and they, a cadre out of India, and they go to Africa, or someone out of North America goes down to South America, and they do an independent evaluation, not just of where the money is, but the ongoing sustainability of the program. So there's a lot of integrity there, and Rotarians involved in the dispersal of the funds. We're going to look at a couple of things here in a minute. We give money to the foundation, and usually when you give money to another foundation, it's gone. They decide how the money is spent. We as Rotarians make the decision as to how the money is spent out of our foundation. And we have a lot of leverage on what's that's going. So let's look at the next slide. This is kind of a little complicated issue here, but I want people to understand what's happening and going on. So before I trip and fall, as you can see here, when you have $500,000, and that's close to what our club, our district gives, $500,000, it sits up there in the foundation for 3 years, and the earnings off of that money is generally what is used to cover the operating expenses of the foundation. So at the end of 3 years, that $500,000 is split into two buckets. Half of it comes back to the district, and the other half sits over here in Rotary Foundation funds. And then the Rotary District has two, let me see, is it this one? Oh, look at that. Okay. Thank you, Jim. Oh, by the way, do you know what the difference between Hodge and Hodge is?
An S. An S.
An S? Yes. Well, as I tell people who get confused, my family lost our S's many years ago. As I've heard, it was Hodge's son, or Hodge's son, which got sorted into Hodge's. So we got a common ancestor back there somewhere. But this money which the district has is split into two parts. Part is for district grants, and part is for global grants. The district grants are what are let out in grants to clubs. You make application for them, and you've done a couple of grants over the last couple of years. Congratulations. And then that money is spent. Now, the district tries to spend all of it. But if we don't spend it, it's not lost, but it is no longer available for district grants. Whatever is unused rolls over into global grants and sits in there and accumulates. And so we never lose any of the $250,000. Now, half is the max that we can put into the district grants. The other half has to be spent on global grants. Global grants can be scholarships, Polio Plus, technical teams, or grants which are sponsored by clubs. Whatever is not spent in this year of this $125,000 rolls over to the next year. So if we have another 125 this year, but we did not spend 25 this year, next year we got 250. So that money is never lost. So out of the 250, we have, as a district, total control of half of the money. Now, we also have control of a lot of this. Where'd it go?
what?
There we go. Of the money which is up here. Because clubs can do international grants. Now, when our club, the Rotary Club of Newport News, did its 3H grant, we came up with $60,000, and the foundation came up with $300,000. Yeah, that came out of all these funds up here. Now, that's my actual leverage. You know, when you can raise 60 and get 360 out of it, that's a pretty good deal. Well, what happens with global grants is when a club contributes $30,000 towards a grant, which is about what Newport News every year does a lot of work with Bridges to Prosperity. And we do about $105,000 worth of grants, but we put up about $30,000, then what happens is the district matches it with $30,000. Well, then what the foundation does, the TRF matches whatever the district puts in 100%, and whatever a club puts in at 50%. So you take the 30 from the 15 plus the 30 here, and now you got 105. So when clubs raise $30,000, we have $105,000, which is coming back to us from different pockets out of this money here. And yes,
Well, Ken, is all of that money raised going to global?
all of what, this money?
All the money on the right-hand side, yeah, is that all global?
All of this money and all of this money, so about $375,000 is going to global in some fashion. Now, it might be for scholarships, which are benefiting, I hear some comments about sponsoring someone for scholarships. So you can sponsor for scholarships, you can do technical teams, where you send people off to do training in other places, and Polio Plus for the eradication of polio. So of the 500,000, all but this ends up going to some form of global activity.
Well, when you work your way through the weeds, it looks like 75% of the money is going global. 50% on this side, 50% on that side.
75% of the total ends up going to global in some way. But we, as the local district, control where it goes and how it's used. We control whether it's going to Polio Plus, scholarship, technical teams, or international grants. Yeah.
What does the district do for Polio Plus?
The
As
district,
a global project?
well, the district is able to take some of its money and designate out of this $125,000 here, we can say we want $40,000 of that to go into the polio fund. Because sitting over here is another fund, which is the Polio Plus fund.
Yeah, I didn't think the district had a direct influence on that.
We are, as a district, we are asked to give a portion of our global money each year into polio.
That's
We
what I
don't
thought
have
was a
to.
request.
It's our choice to do so, okay? And our district, because we are not getting a lot of requests for international grants, has substantial additional money. And so we actually play a game here and spend more of our district money here, and it all comes down through. But we've got more money than we can spend here on the global grant side, and we're looking to encourage. Now, the question becomes, why would you want to give, we'll go on to the next. Any more questions about this? Okay. Now, you guys have been involved in some of the local grants. You did supported the men's shelter with along with jointly with the Sunrise Club. The limit is $5,000 per club, and you can sponsor with others. A couple of clubs, 4 clubs came together and did a $20,000 project, $5,000 per club. As we have gotten started on this and the expansion of the money which was available, what happened was we had trouble spending all the money, and I think that's when you guys found out that there was some extra money here last year, and you got a little bit of the tail end money and helped spend it. But now we've got, this year, we were not able to fund all the money. And one of the criteria which has not been used in the past is supporting clubs in their projects, in part looking at how much they're giving to the foundation. So if a club is giving $3,000 to the foundation, and there are some doing that, and they want a $5,000 grant, the district might say, okay, we'll help you out one time, but let's up your game. Let's see if we can't do a little bit better than a small. But if they really are not supporting the foundation, then they're going to have difficulty qualifying for some of these local grants. Next slide, please. Now, so why would an individual want to make a decision to support the Rotary Foundation as opposed to some of the others? Well, one of them is to claim ownership. Let's go back to just for a second. Right here, the global grants are involved with promoting peace, fighting disease, clean water, mothers and children, education, and economic development. And so if most of us can find some place to have a passionate activity in one of those areas, but these are the areas in which the foundation is involved. So going forward too, if you would please. So one is to claim ownership. Rotary International is going to be given credit in large measure for the eradication of polio. And I've been telling people for years, if you want to claim to be part of the organization that supported or eradicated polio, you ought to be given to the foundation, because that's where it's going to come from. It is going to be an amazing thing. And then there's going to be another project, whether it's, we don't know what it is, but it's also to be part of something really extraordinary. When you guys on your local grants, but also those that are involved more, and your club, I couldn't find any recent record of your club being involved in international grants. Have you all been? Okay.
Tried,
but failed.
Okay. But to be part of something truly extraordinary, when people go down to some of these international programs and sees the impact on them, it is really amazing. But it's also how we become part of Rotary International. We as individuals are not members of Rotary International. You're a member of the Rotary Club of Hampton Roads, and I'm the Rotary Club of Newport News. We are part of District 7600. But we are not members of Rotary International, and it is through international grants that we develop relationships with clubs in other areas. The relationship between the Rotary Club of the Virginia Peninsula and the Escazú Club in Costa Rica is extraordinary, and they have an ongoing relationship for the last 20 years, and it has all come through international grants. The Rotary Club of Yorktown and their programs down with the Refugio in Quito, Ecuador, and the work which they've done down there is extraordinary, and they have teams going back and forth on a constant basis, but also to enhance membership retention. Yeah, Charles.
And if a club wants to do a project, they can go to RI and say, can you give me somewhere else that's looking for a partner?
If you are wanting to do something like that, you could come to our district, and we have lots of ideas of some things that you may be, or if someone in here has a part of the world that you have a passion for, yes, you can put things together. But when you are looking for members, one of the things that my Newport News Club did we had an extraordinary program of international support. We did not have a local support. And so when you were a local charity, we supported. So we proactively tried to develop a local project which would be singularly recognized with our club. Much like you had the bowl-a-thon, you know, we had Bridges to Prosperity. We recognized that there were potential members which we would like to have who would like to be involved in local projects. So we actively searched out something to do that.
It's $5 fine.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll give it to you. So we actively searched that out, and I'm saying to you that I believe that there are people within your community that would love to be involved with a club that has international ties, and it'll be a great way to enhance things. And so, how do you do this? It starts with the leaders set expectations. It's a decision by the board that you want to be involved. You know, you can start with the new members. A lot of your contributions, as I read the reports, it appears it comes out of your bowl-a-thon. Contributions are made for each member. You do have 7 Paul Harris Society members. These are individuals who pledge $1,000 a year. It runs out about $84 a month. But what we are talking about is have your foundation committee analyze the current status, make a personal ask to people, and give them an understanding of how it can be done. I've got 30 seconds. Any questions?
The first 3 years, the money is invested, and that fund, that investment pays for the operation, right?
The interest office,
The interest,
yes.
the investment.
Right.
What are they investing in? Because by golly, the value of money is virtually zero. How are they acquiring income from that sufficient?
I don't know. But I know, now, there is a reserve, and during the recent economic unpleasantness, when the value of stocks fell and everything, when it came down to share the money, they no longer had the $500,000 to split 2 ways. They went ahead and gave the districts half of what they put in and took the other half out of reserves. And so, yeah, there is a reserve, the contingency fund set up for another unpleasantness, which will come at some point in time. And so there, at the present time, about 2.5% of the money each year is being set aside in the reserve for a contingency to build it up to a certain size, and it's there.
Ken, thank you.
You're welcome.
Please accept this small token of appreciation for what you've done for us today. And if there are other questions, Charlie, please meet with Ken after the meeting. You got one last duty. Pick one of these 3 numbers. Last 3 numbers, please.
018?
Don't look over his shoulder.
Oh, 510.
Mary, we stand adjourned.